What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Octagon. We're back with another fighter interview today as we are joined by UFC Featherweight and New England cartel prospect Connor the Controller Matthews. We had a great interview, talked about a lot of awesome things. Make sure you listen all the way through to find out, especially the gym that he started himself, named Mom's Basement, location unknown. Don't forget, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel, like the video. All right? See y'all on the next one.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I actually admire that you can actually be this fake. And like when the TV comes on, how you can just change. You're the scum of the earth.
The old dog to me said I couldn't do it. The old said I couldn't do it. Look at me now. Lebanon, pound for pound, headshot dead. That's it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Over the Octagon with your host, Joel and Evan. And we have a very special guest. This evening, we're back with another fighter interview, UFC Featherweight Connor Matthews. Connor, what's going on, man? How you doing? How you feeling? How's life treating you?
Never better. I mean, dude, I'm living my dream right now. So life's been great. Feeling good, too, as well, physically. I need a little bit of time after that last fight, and now I'm ready to get back into camp. I'm biting at the bit right now.
Yeah, so first things first, because him and I are so curious. So we've had some teammates of yours on the show. We've done interviews in the exact location where you are right now. Talk to us a little bit about your training. Where are you? Okay, first of all.
Yeah.
What is it? Because I'm so confused. Like I don't understand. What is it? Whose place is that? Is it you? Like, just give us the kind of rundown of Mom's Basement.
Yeah, I'll give you the rundown. So yeah, we call this Mom's Basement MMA, and it's essentially my martial arts gym. I train with the New England Cartel. That's my number one team. You know, I train up there 3 or 4 days a week, and that's an hour and a half, hour 45-minute drive, sometimes 2 hours if I'm hitting traffic here in the summer in Boston. So it's it's a ride to get up there. So I have a different spot like where Andrew Valdina and Joe Poirier and myself we train in my basement. I had a small gym just prior to just post after the pandemic. I was renting from a CrossFit gym, and they weren't really doing good on members ever since the pandemic. It's kind of like lost its business thing. So they kind of told me they're closing up doors, and I was like shit out of luck. And thank God my parents were gracious enough to be like, hey, you can put your mats down in the basement for a little while. And at the time, like I wasn't in the UFC yet. I had a job. I worked for the Air Force. I didn't have that yet. Basically, I was making all my money off of privates and running kids classes. So I was kind of like this. I needed a place to go, and my parents were like, "Hey, you can put it in the basement for a while to kind of keep everything going, and then we can eventually find your own spot." But we've been down here about like 2 years now, I think. Over 2 years, and it's been awesome. I don't teach the kids classes. I don't really run the business anymore since I kind of got other avenues of income. So it's mostly a spot where I do teach, just for more like I like teaching because it kind of just keeps me engaged. You know what I mean? Like my friends that come in, I like to work with them, like Valdina and Joe Poirier, and it's just a place where they can do privates here, and we can all make a little bit of money on the side, but it's mostly a spot for us just to train and work shit out. So it's been awesome. I got a full gym. I got a seating area. It's way better than the spot I was at before, except the rent's a lot cheaper, and we got.
So it's legitimately Mom's Basement.
It's legitimately Mom's basement. My parents are walking around upstairs right now. They've been awesome. Huge. I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have my parents to help me be. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, like fighting and making it and grinding and being a UFC fighter on the way up, man, is like not a lot of money, and you make it in the regional scene. It's a whole job in itself, and and pay for training, and you know what I mean, like just traveling and all that. So they supported me. I also put the hard work in. They saw the vision I had, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I'm super, super appreciative.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that is like him and I have had kind of like discussions about this place specifically multiple times, and we would both go to ourselves like, do you think it's actually in his mom's basement? And I was like, I don't know, bro. I think maybe they just call it that. And he's like, I don't know. I think it's actually in his mom's basement. I'm like, dude, I don't know.
I mean, it's an awesome name.
Yeah.
I know. It's sticking. That's the thing, man. It sounds good. You know what I mean? It's like it's became like a spot to hit. You know, it's kind of it's because they announced it on the Contender Series. Now they talking about it on the UFC. So it's like people know this spot now. So we're trying to get a couple more of these guys in the UFC so we can have like 3 UFC fighters fighting in my mom's basement. It's the goal.
That's so crazy.
That's freaking awesome.
So, all right,
we got
man.
A cage,
so
it's legit. We got a cage.
Yeah,
we got bags. We got it's got everything we need.
I think when we did the interview, and Joel, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did the interview with Poirier, he was in the cage.
Yeah, he was.
And then he specifically hung an American flag behind himself.
Yeah.
Solely for the interview.
Yeah.
And then we joked with Valdina about this too. We joked with Valdina about this too, but then probably 7 times throughout the whole time he just kept going like this.
He just kept flexing.
Joe P was doing that.
Joey Guns.
Yeah, Joe P's definitely Mr. Joey Guns. He's Mr. Humble. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to flex. Tell you about that.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that was awesome.
So
those are some awesome guys that you have around you and training in there. So, so now let's start back a little bit from the beginning because we're curious. So, obviously, and you've talked about this at length, but your, time spent in the United States Air Force as a combat controller. Now, I'm assuming that's kind of where your nickname comes from, right?
Correct.
So just, you don't have to get too in detail, but like walk us through what that job is. I know that, the training for something like that super in depth. It takes a long time to get into. I know you wanted to be an NHL player before that. So how did we go from like playing travel hockey at a really high level in Massachusetts and then, to a combat controller? What is a combat controller? What was your time in the Air Force like?
So, where it came from is like playing competitive hockey. You know what I mean? I'm not a school guy, to be honest. I did go to schools to play hockey. Literally in high school, I would go to like certain schools. I went to prep schools and I played juniors. Like my life surrounded around chasing this dream of being an NHL hockey player. So I kind of always had that engine in me from my whole life. Additionally, I did martial arts my whole life too. But, that was kind of like back when I was a kid doing it. It wasn't like, this is what you're going to do to make money. And, that wasn't a goal of mine. I was, being a professional NHL hockey player. My senior year, I got hurt. My last game of my senior year, blew out my shoulder. It kind of ruined my chances of playing college hockey the next year, the following year after that. That's how long the rehab was going to take. And I kind of lost all my passion to keep on. I kind of just knew when I hit that injury that I was like, hockey's done. Not looking back on it, there's the things that I've accomplished post, you know what I mean? I don't think that's a bad mentality to have, but that was realistically the mentality that I had when it happened. Just seeing my friends go and play in college and stuff. So, I kind of started using martial arts as a coping mechanism and just training just to kind of give me something. I have so much energy. I need to do something. I went to this place called Lakeville MMA that I've been going through since I was a kid. It started off as a Taekwondo school and it kind of transitioned to an MMA school. And I just got hooked to the sport. My sensei, he's a traditional guy. He's like, yeah, we're going to put you in a fight when you turn 18. Turned 18, took my first fight. And then fighting anything else is probably the most addictive thing. Adrenaline rush, winning a fight is just it's a drug. I don't care what you the highest of the highs for sure. And anything, I was hooked to the sport. All I wanted to do after that is just train as much as I can. So college went out the door. I started working construction. Did that for 2 years. working construction in Boston and just like training my ass off. I train on like Joe Lozon's gym, and I do like any local fights. I do kickboxing, Muay Thai, anything. Then I eventually, my dad started to get on me, being like, "Dude, this like, what are you gonna do with your life? You got to plan something." You know what I mean? MMA, I don't know. So, that drove me to the military. I'm very competitive, and I just figured that like the military, if I was going to do a job in the military, I wanted to do something that was like physically, give me a physical outlet and, challenge myself. And special operations seemed like the job. I joined this job called combat control. I had no idea what the fuck a combat controller does, to be honest. Like there's an air traffic controller. I was like, I don't even know what that means. So,
not really realizing you're like one of the baddest motherfuckers in the Air Force.
No idea at all. I didn't minimally did my research to find out about the job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to take a PT test. It's actually like this physical test that that's my job right now, is to administer those PT tests. And there's this guy, Waldo, who's like an old time combat controller, who was administering the test to us. And there was a kid who was slotted before me to go to, and he failed the test. And then I was like slotted to go a month from then, but I passed the test. He was like, "Hey, do you want a slot? He failed it, you passed it. You look like a great candidate. You want to go?" And I think they just were doing one of those things that recruiters, like, they want to get this kid in and gone, send them before I knew what happened. And that's what he did. I got the job. I passed the test. Before I knew, I was out the door. Basic training, doing all that stuff. Turned 21 in basic. I graduated that, and then I got into selection. And selection is like it's basically like a 95% attrition rate. So you start with 120 people, not just selection, but like the entire pipeline, we call it, which is a series of schools to become a combat controller. It lasts about 2.5 years long. You start off with like whatever, over 100 people. You're only left with like 5 of us by the end. So it's a crazy attrition rate. Somehow I fucking made it through. I don't know how I fucking out of all the people, you know what I mean? Like physically, mentally, I'm strong, I'm tough, I'm gritty. I think, just being a good teammate from all my time spent being a hockey player, a positive attitude, and I figured out the way to get it done. I definitely had some setbacks going along during the pipeline. I failed air traffic control school the first time. I went back, had to pass it. I failed dive school. It was never just easy. I failed a lot of tests, but passed it on the second time. It was just always just kind of like a grind for me. But finally, I got my beret and became a combat controller. Which when you come, you get your beret. It's like a hat right there. It's like over there. I don't know. It's a hat that you get that you can wear. Caesar Cole or whatever. But I did that, and then I deployed to Afghanistan. Which was, when you start becoming a hammer, you start nailing some things in, right? So that's the job. So it's like training for a fight. You want to actually go do the fight, right? So that's what it was like. So I went overseas, Afghanistan, did the tour, came home, and got back into martial arts. And here we are, man. 4 years there after I got out, I'm sitting in the UFC, and I'm living my dream. I did the military community has been so supportive and amazing, and doing things that I would never be able to do if I didn't have that. It changed my mental a lot. So I'm just so grateful and happy that I was able to do that and still get to fight in the UFC.
What's up, everybody? We just wanted to take this moment to tell you about a company that we just started working with, Mayhem on the Mat. Mayhem on the Mat isn't just about crafting jiu-jitsu apparel. It's about a deeper connection to a discipline that teaches us to grapple life's toughest opponents, the mental health battles we face every day. You can go to their website now, get anything, use code Over The Octagon for 15% off. Appreciate you. Check it out. Yeah. You've already accomplished something in like a really short period of time that most people don't in their entire lives, so it's really an interesting, it's just like a crazy life story that
it's super dope.
And then as far as the UFC and your fighting career goes, like you're not even scratching the surface yet, man. Like it's just the beginning, and if that, everything that you just went, kind of story that you just went through with us here says anything, it's referencing your last fight, it's that you come back from setbacks pretty well. your entire life, there's been setback after setback after setback, and you've made comeback after comeback after comeback, you know? So
I guess that
now,
kind of sets us up to bring him right into the conversation of the Dana White Contender Series.
yeah,
That's kind of what I wanted to hear about too. So you get the call. First fight in the Dana White Contender Series is another kind of up and comer, new to the sport
Yeah.
as well, Francis Marshall. And you know, obviously doesn't go your way, but then you bounce back. Just like Murky was saying, you bounce back. You get the win in Combat Zone, then you get the call again for the Dana White Contender Series. This time you go out, you win. You know,
Yeah.
and now you get your first fight on UFC Fight Night recently within the past few months. Obviously, that fight didn't go how you planned it to, but here we are again. That next fight. Is there anything specific you're wanting out of this next fight? Are you wanting a Francis Marshall rematch to get that loss back from the Contender Series? Or, you know, because I mean, he to me, I was talking to Murky earlier. It's like a perfect fight to make. You know, he's coming off of 2 losses.
Yeah, there's that. That does. It sounds like a good fight. However, me and Francis are kind of like buddies now. I've trained with him since I've gone down to New Jersey, and I've worked with him, and so I don't really have any desires to go out there and bang it out with him again. We probably put enough brain damage on each other after that fight.
for sure.
But you know
Yeah.
what I mean. That it's my job. Is, you know, I'm a UFC fighter. Even any of these guys I get in the ring with, I'm not really. I don't take anything really too personal. It's just like, man, we're going in there and fucking knock each other out, and that's
Yep.
what it is. What it is. I don't really care. I just, you know, I want to win though. That's the next thing. And honestly, I don't want to fight Francis if he has 2 losses, because I don't want to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like,
You
I don't
don't
want
want to be
fight.
the guy to
Like,
do
I
that.
like him. He's a good
Right.
person. And either way, you know what I mean. We're both taking away each other's dreams, so I don't really want to do that to somebody I'm buddies with. But anybody else, man, they can get this smoke. Like, you know what I mean?
I love it.
I'm in there. If that's what it comes down to, is like I need to change. Obviously, like the thing is with any adversities and setbacks is you need to analyze things realistically, and then you need to make changes. You can't just like do the same thing over again and expect a different outcome, right? That's insanity. So you want to analyze the things that, you know, how can I be better? Make those life changes, whatever it is that made better, and then reattack and come back better, and hopefully, you know, it works out. And I think I'm doing that. I've always done that when I came back from fights. But you know, I always come back better after a loss. Sometimes if you're winning, you know what I mean, things are working out. Like I won 2 in a row. Is you kind of get into this like, oh, like we're just doing the same thing because that worked last time. It's gonna work this time. Not necessarily always true. So you need to definitely learn from your losses and come back better for the next one. So I'm hoping whoever they give me, probably that. I mean, they're already trying to think, you know, trying to match me up right now. I'm thinking probably September, October timeframe,
Awesome.
which is good coming off, you know, a knockout, right? I don't want you with your head. You don't want to rush it because like then you get into a fight real fast and then you just have a weaker chin or whatever. You know what I mean? I want to let that.
We
shit.
see it all too
Yeah,
often
exactly.
recently, man. It's one thing that I wish the UFC didn't do was if someone who's coming off of a knockout, rush them into another fight. Now, granted, obviously everyone talks about the Volkanovski situation, how he rushed into that next fight with Islam, but it happens more often than that too, where fighters who come off a quick loss go right into it and then it doesn't go their way. And then, you know, all the talk is, well, did they take the fight too quickly? That's always the first thing that people say. So it's smart on your part for taking the required rest, taking the time, resetting, you know, getting ready for the next go. So
100%. It's like because your initial reaction anytime you lose is I want to get back. I want to get back. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, all right, you need to take that time, like fix your shit, relax, build, and then get back in there. So yeah, I totally agree. It's just like health. You know what I mean? That should be number one. Obviously, they're gonna want you to fight eventually. You can't be sitting on the couch for
True.
too long. But you know, I feel like we got enough fighters in this 145 division in the UFC. We're gonna be all right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, in the meantime, I mean, you're still obviously training every day, or you know, at whatever, very frequently. You were just saying you were training today. Actually, I saw a video. Explain the video I saw today. So I saw a video today, of you, about 4 guys
In a
sitting
car.
in a car. Yeah.
Yeah.
So explain that video to me, and if anybody hasn't seen it, your coach Tyson posted it on Instagram, I believe. I saw the video. It looked like you guys were doing some breath work or meditation or something. So
Yeah.
what were you doing in that car today? I need to know.
So yeah, a little bit. So that's what we do. I actually have a breathing coach. This guy named Michael Cristoforo. He works for me all my fight camps going in. Like, and we do like all sorts of kind of different breathing exercises. Like, I put a mask on and I'm doing like certain side exercises and like doing exercises with breath holds. You see guys like BJ Penn does this with like carrying a rock across the bottom of the water. There's all different ways, and that it's just anything. So I'm really trying to find like any mental edge that I can do to like really help me for fighting. And I've been working with this breath coach for like 3 or 4 fights, and so Valdina started working with him as well. And so we do have these like he has like this little video. We do these breathing exercises, and usually we do it before we start training. Just like if you're gonna do anything, you're like during fight day, you might as well practice it all the time. So we usually do our breathing exercises, and then we go into the gym, and we just go right into our workout. So yeah,
Is that kind of like a Wim Hof thing? Like that's something that I'm super familiar with.
Yeah, there is a portion of it that is Wim Hof. It's not all Wim Hof though.
Okay. Yeah.
There's another guy. I forget the name of the guy's Oxygen Advantage, I believe it is. You work on like basically controlling like building up O2 and staying calm and relaxed during like when you have O2, because when you're fighting and you're burning tons of oxygen, your muscles are using oxygen, and your adrenaline's jacked. You have a higher like set whatever O2 in your body, and it just basically you're able to keep your body more calm and relaxed in stressful environments, which is basically the biggest thing with fighting and everything I've done in my military career and war and stuff. Is like how do we like take a step back, stay calm, relaxed, don't let your fight or flight nervous system take over, and do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, let your training take over, not the nerves and the fear and everything else that kind of comes along with being in that environment. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so like even when you leave the military, I know you were fighting before then. But when you left the military, and are you now? You said before that you still run tests for them. So are you still like active in the military or reserve, or what's your like current Air Force status?
So I'm out completely. I'm a civilian, but I am contracted out by the military too. So
Awesome.
I still work with. So my job is in New England. I cover down and I administer. We call it the IFT, the initial fitness test.
Yep.
So anybody who's coming in, it's runs. It's like pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, run, some underwaters, and then you got to do a 1.5 mile run. I administer that test, and I also do like developmental sessions. I'm called the developer as my job title, and I mentor kids who are coming in or struggling in different portions of the test, kind of like a coach or a trainer, and I'll give them programs or let them know what the job's like and kind of what to expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Okay, so you're still doing that. You're fighting for the UFC now.
Yep.
Training Mom's Basement, training New England Cartel.
Yeah.
We've talked in length about, kind of what you guys are building up there. We just saw, Mitch Raposa make his debut. Obviously you have guys like Rob Font, Calvin Cater up there. So it's super interesting. Like it's starting to become like this little nest egg, not even little, but this nest egg of some serious talent mixed martial arts that we're going to see in the UFC for a long time. And what's that been like, I guess, being surrounded by, all of those different people, constantly, and what's that done for you?
So, I mean, yeah, so for like New England MMA is that we never really got everybody all together in one room to kind of like, we've had guys in the past who do pretty well, like Joe Lozon, Kenny Florian.
Right.
There's been these ones and offshoots and stuff, but like, with the way the UFC has gone and the level everybody's fighting at right now, it's like you need to get to work with those guys day in and day out.
Yep.
So I would say the guy who really is the person who's bringing that up in New England is Tyson Chartier.
Yeah.
He he kind of got Calvin and Rob working together, or they went off and did their own thing. That's who started the New England Cartel is Calvin and Rob. They paved the way for us, so they have an idea what it's due to fight the best guys in the world. And look at both those guys; they fought the best of the best. You know, what I mean?
Everybody, yeah.
Holloway, it's fought Figueredo. Rob fought Figueredo. I mean, they've beat some of the really high level guys as well. So it's like, those guys definitely, showed us what it takes to be there. They kind of changed their mentality. They used to be very closed doors, and there's only those two guys fighting with a couple extra guys, maybe Tom Pags and Nick Fiore. But they kind of opened up the doors, and now the room is filled with a whole bunch of guys. Guys who fought in the UFC as well, like Nick Fiore's fought in the new UFC. Chris Montino is fought.
Yeah, I was just going to bring him up, and he's on a killing spree right now. I mean, he's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak that, like, after he got released from the UFC, he just went on a straight killing spree, and like he's ready to get back in there. It seems like so.
And that's what's due to Tyson, man. We've all levels up. If you really want to look at it, we've only really been doing this shit for since my a year and a half. My contender series, not my contender series. Yeah, Daniel White's looking for a fight. That was in March.
Yeah.
We started training together like probably 3 or 4 months before that March fight. That's when we realized, oh shit, maybe we got something going here. And then we've been working day in and day out for the last year. So another guy you guys who's coming up around here, you guys are going to see is Carlos Azoya. He'll be in the UFC. He is an absolute animal. 125, Rex mops the floor with everybody I know. So he's a guy coming up. He just won the title at what's it called? Combat FC up here in Brooklyn. So he's
that was that was the night before the Cage Titan 65, wasn't it? Yeah, that was that Friday night.
We had a good weekend. We had Combat Zone, which is Calvin's promotion. We had a couple guys. Tom Pags, he went out there. Tom Pagrulo, he's a really good fighter. He went out there, had a first round finish. Then we had the next night, the next weekend, we had Combat FC. Carlos went out there and won a title. Nick Fiore went out there. He won a fight as well. Just everybody, the whole team, all the guys are like just scratching you guys are going to see like a lot of contender series within the next year, a lot of UFC guys breaking through. Everybody's just back on the horse, and it's called, like, I was the first guy to kind of start getting our way there, but there's like a whole wave of dudes coming right behind us, because this is, like I said, this is the first time that we actually are doing this, training together as a team, holding each other accountable. It's just like a different energy and mentality. And I'm super excited to see, put a New England on the team. That's to see we're like Boston's 5th team. You know what I mean? That's
sick.
I really like that.
And that's like, especially, I'm sure there's other UFC athletes that can relate to this, but even for yourself, like coming from team sports, right? Like traditionally, mixed martial arts really isn't a team sport. It's you versus you, and you versus the guy across from you in the cage. But there's extreme value, right, in being a part of something bigger than yourself. Like, I'm sure you've experienced it in hockey, and both of us have experienced it in different things throughout our lives. And in the military, it's the same way, right? Like, it's not just you. You're a part of something bigger than yourself. And now, now in mixed martial arts, we're starting to see that. Those one-offs are very rare, right? Because it's very hard to get that good. Just by yourself. You almost need to be training with the best of the best all the time.
Yep. Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Even if the best of the best in other sports, they all train together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, jiu-jitsu, right? The Danaher's room down in Austin. I was just down in Austin, Texas, and I'm looking around, and it's got Gordon Ryan. It's got all these, GSVs there. All all the top level guys train with each other. It's about finding that environment and a safe thing. I feel like sometimes you go to, like, I don't know, American Top Team, I've heard. I don't really know personally. I have friends that train down there and they really like it. Like Francis trains down there who likes it. Let's say we choose Vegas for an example. It's like, there's a lot of good fighters there because, and they are training together, but they're not really a team. It's just a whole bunch of individuals in a super gym. You know what I mean? There's almost teams with it because they will fight each other. And that's what's cool and unique about what we kind of got going on is it's like, it is everybody, because we're all actually from Massachusetts. It's not guys from Russia and Brazil and whatever. I mean, we have a couple guys that come from other places, but mostly it's just guys who've grown up. We've been sparring and training together, for a long time.
That's sick.
But we haven't been actually training together day in and day out. That's what's different now. It's like we'd meet up at Lozon's my whole life, and we go like knock each other out on the weekends, and then that was it. Now it's different. Now it's like it's everybody's working together to help each other, achieve some greatness. So it's really cool to be a part of.
That's
dope. So he wanted to ask you something about that trip to Texas too, and you just brought up GSP.
Yeah, dude. I gotta know, man, because I'm a big GSP fan. Obviously, he's the legend of the sport. And growing up, he was like one of the guys I loved, man. Top 5 all time, in my opinion. He's a goat. He's a goat. And then I get to see you went out to the firing range and was with him and legends like Tim Kennedy, two guys that I remember growing up watching and knowing, and then seeing you getting out there. What was that experience like? Because it's got to be huge to have a guy like GSP and then you're there with him,
like I said, I'm not really a school person or anything like that, but I have 2 books. One book's Tim Kennedy and one book's GSP. Those are both my idols. And by luck, not by planning or anything like that, I got to hang out with both of my idols on the same day and do shit that I love to do. It was one of the best days of my life. So Tim hits me up. Cool. He's like, "Come to the Roca gym in the morning, and we're gonna do a workout." And so there, Origin was there filming Tim, and I wish I remember the name of this guy. But it was a famous CrossFitter there, and him and Tim are going back to back for competitions, and the competition was workout in the morning, jiu-jitsu matches. And after that, and then the last thing you do is they go to the shooting range and have a competition on the shooting range. So it was a 3-part series, and you know what I mean? And they were competing. And I just, I was just there kind of for the ride. And I was partnered up with Tim Kennedy, but I was working out with my idols, man. It was so
That's
cool.
So dope.
Yeah. So, it was a great day, man. I shooting the shit with GSP and talking about fight mentality stuff and just seeing how Tim runs his business, Sheepdog. And way he treats people, he's the nicest guy to every single person that works for him or is around him, and makes everybody feel involved. And he's just a great person. It's just I feel like you want to idolize, surround yourself with people who you want to be. And I just had the opportunity to hang out with those guys, see what they do, and just gives me motivation to keep on pushing for what I'm doing, because I want to be like that as well. GSP, man, is so that crazy thing is I saw GSP and he took his shirt off, and I'm like, dude, this guy's more shredded than I am, and he's 42 years old. Hasn't fought in the UFC in I don't know, 8 years or something like that, 10 years, and he looks like he could be fighting tomorrow at 55, and he fought at 185 and 170. It's amazing,
right?
So guys, an absolute animal.
And they have him comment. They have him. You went to Karate Combat as well, right? And he's commentating at Karate Combat now.
Yep, and that's cool. So my teammate, my good friend, not really teammate, he's a little bit bigger than me. I can't really spar with him, but we hang out with my buddy. My good friend is Ross Levine, and he had a beautiful. He's the main event. Beautiful head kick knockout.
Yep, we were watching.
In the fans, in the crowd, you had Joe Rogan.
Rogan was
John
there,
Donner, Tony Hinchcliffe, you name it. It's all the most famous people, whatever, people who I like and who I idolize. Got to see my boy just knock this guy out in a devastating fashion.
Sick.
It was that promotion too, man, has something. They definitely have something, because the whole concept behind it is so sick. The pit is super cool. The way people watch the fights, I've never been to one of their events. You have, so maybe you could speak on it. But just people are so close to the pit, bro. It's like a basketball game.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. Is at UFC, you're looking through the
cage.
Yeah, you're looking through the cage. You're kind of isolated. You know what I mean? You have the cage, but there, it's just you're looking right into the pit.
Yeah.
They rise up the bleachers on the side. So you have the higher bleachers, everybody's looking down into the pit. And then if you're a fighter or something like me, I could get in. So I could just stand my hands up on the side of the pit and just look right into it. So the guys are just right there. Something's really cool about that. The rule sets, I think they need to fix the rule sets a little bit. I don't agree with all the rule set decisions. I understand what they're trying to do. They're not trying to let it become Muay Thai with the leg kicks and stuff like that. But I was like, dude, you gotta keep that. Like you can't just, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think there should be like a karate requirement. I get that, but like I do think that you should be able to hit the leg kicks. I like the striking on the ground. I think they switched the rules. Like as long as you're punching, and the person you can keep on punching the person. I think up to like 10 seconds or something like that, which is pretty cool. I like that. I feel like you should be able to do some like judo stuff and like get an arm bar or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but you should be able to do like arm bars and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if it's super new. So like, I don't know if they have everything quite figured out. Like that will make it super popular, but just the concept behind it is awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to watch too. Like I watch their events on YouTube and stuff like just from home. And you know, that's how I watched that Ross Levine knockout. I saw him go up and shake Rogan's hand and stuff, you know. I was like, dude, these events, there's always a ton of celebrities and stars and people there at every single one of their events. They look incredible. So yeah, it's cool. So I'm happy for you, man, that you got to have that time in Austin and Texas. I'm sure that was a week that you'll never forget.
No.
And then so you come back to Massachusetts, it's right back to business.
Yes, sir.
And back to training. So you're hoping to kind of you're starting to do some matchmaking now. You're hoping September, October. You know, you have teammates of yours that have fights. So they just announced, you know, obviously Valdina is making another quick turnaround. He's fighting in July, which I think is really cool, right? Like even, you know, like the way you guys operate, like it's different. Like you're not taking breaks. Like a lot of these guys that fight at these big gyms that you're kind of speaking of that really only fight for themselves or with themselves, you know, they fight, then they take like a 2-month vacation.
Yeah.
You know, you guys fight, and then you're back in the gym, and you're helping him train for his next fight. You know, we saw you at Cage Titans. You're cornering him and helping him warm up and doing all that different kind of stuff with him. Do you feel like that helps you? Like, does that give you an advantage as opposed to, you know, just kind of taking the time away?
Yeah, man, the way the room's going right now, I mean, one of us, somebody's pulling us back in. You know, you got to be there for your buddies. They were there for me, for my camp, to get me ready for my UFC fight. It doesn't mean that he still has the goals and aspirations that I have. I got to be there to push him to get ready for his fight. So,
love that.
Yeah, and I want him to win bad. And I'm so proud of Valdina and his last fight camp. I mean, he did everything to a T. Worked day in and day out. Like he really, you know, like he kind of took my game stuff that I was doing and like, you know, emulated it. But it was awesome because for me, like I got out of the gym and even like the workout portions of it is like I got to go in. And I told our trainer, I was like, yo, just give me Valdina's workout. I'm gonna go into the gym. I'll work out with him. So I'm gonna push him in his workout so we can make that competitive. I'm gonna push him. Literally every portion of anything I could push him through that fight camp. It gave me something to work for. It's just being competitive to push him. You know what I mean? So it was like, I think that's a huge advantage is actually having people around you who you want to succeed and they want you to succeed and you want them to succeed. But you know, you got to care, you got to be there for that to be a realistic thing. So yeah, I'm super proud of him for that.
Let me ask you this then, since you just bring this up and like I've heard from other fighters at different times that like a regional MMA scene can almost be described as like the crab in the bucket situation, right? So like you have a guy trying to do better and get out, and then you have these people that just want to pull him down and you know, talk shit, do whatever they got to do to kind of knock him back down. But now you're talking about a situation where you guys are all kind of trying to build each other up. Right? So you have a legitimate team atmosphere where you're all trying to build each other up. Has your experience in, you know, Northeast, New England, Massachusetts MMA always been that way? Or have you dealt with some of that like crab in the bucket mentality as well?
Yeah, I've 100% dealt with that crap in the bucket mentality. You know what I mean? But like, there's no, but I overcame it. You know what I mean? There's no place that, and then I'm just not going to do the same thing that was done to me. You know what I mean? It's just
Sure.
it is a reason. The jealousy or whatever reason things happen and the way they happen. I learned a lot. You learn about people. You just take it for the adversity, the challenges that were delivered to you at that point in time. But that cycle doesn't need to be repeated. So as long as I can try to do the best thing I can to avoid those scenarios. But yes, I've always had that. You're going to run into challenges in any portion of your life, and sometimes it's always the people that you care about the most are the ones that end up trying to like fuck you, and you're like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? So yeah, I've had that shit happen to me, but like, past is the past, and I've obviously overcame it, and I accomplished my goals. So, it's funny because all those things people start forgetting about that stuff was when you start making it. It's like, oh, that just looked like easy breezy for you. Like, no, dude, I ran into all those stupid challenges and like socially, mentally, all that shit. But just you got to push forward, and I just feel like the more positivity that you put out there, the more you'll receive. That's something that's always stood true to me, no matter what it is. And so I just continue to try to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's why I don't know, that whole kind of attitude I think is just why we love you guys so much. Like why we love Valdina so much. Like all of these conversations we've had with everybody that is kind of involved with you guys. That's been the sentiment, right? That's been the same attitude from everybody. Like super cool. Everybody's the nicest people in the world you've ever met. We met Andrew's mom. She was like the sweetest lady I've ever met in my life. So it's like it's always good no matter what you're doing when you meet really good people. You kind of just know, right? Like you're around good people and good things are happening. So that's really good. That you guys have this thing kind of happening. So now that if you're looking for a fight in September, October, we don't have one yet. But before we let you go, let us know what we can expect to see out of you in September, October from Connor the Controller Matthews.
Expect to see me go out there. Like I'm a little bit upset on the way I my game plan and what I did in my last fight. I think the fight before that against Charles Ferreras, I was a really good representation of myself. I fought a 10-0 kid, really good striker, but I was able to implement my will into him by changing it, showing him every aspect of MMA. I was in clinch, I was taking him down, I was grappling, I was doing jiu-jitsu, I was showing. Instead of just standing there and banging, like I feel like I'm a very good, diverse MMA fighter, like kind of like they say the jack of all trades, and that's what I feel like I'm good at, and I just need to make sure I want to get myself back into that state and implement that onto whoever my next victim is. Is just just bring a variety of assaults and all different assets. I don't care if it's boxing, Muay Thai, karate, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I can do it all. So that's what you guys should see from me. A true professional, and I'm gonna go out there and I'm getting to win my next fight. My life depends on it. Like my UFC contract depends on it because it does. But I've always raised to the occasion in those high pressure situations. That's where I thrive. It's do or die. That's where I always fight my best.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I fucking believe you. Okay.
Yeah. Same.
Take it easy, dude. I believe you.
And then hopefully, by come September, October, or whenever you get a fight announced, it'll be at, wherever it may be at, maybe, the OTO gang packs it up, gets on a plane, flies out there and comes show some love, man. Get some tickets. Yeah.
That'll be our inaugural UFC. We'll make that our UFC event this year.
Let's do it. Hopefully we get in a good location. You know what I mean? Vegas is not bad. It's always a good time. I like Vegas. It's kind of like I know where to go. Everything's set up. You got the PI and all that stuff. It's great. But I like to travel. I like to go get a new story, new experience.
You haven't had an Atlanta card in a very long time.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'll go down
a while.
It's not too far from my boys down there in Destin, Florida, taking a little drive up. So we get a lot of military members around there in Atlanta.
For about 6 hours, 6.5 hours.
Yeah, I think we can do that. Sounds like
hell yeah. All right, man. Well, Joel, you got anything else? Let's let him out of here, man.
No, you're good. I got nothing else for you, man. We really appreciate you coming on for sure. Like we always say, man, if you come on our show, we're always going to be a fan of you forever, man. So keep
life.
doing you, man. You'll see us around for a long time. So,
Thank
keep doing you. We look forward to your next fight, and we're grateful that you came on and spoke with us. So
Appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you so much.
yeah, man. We'll catch you
Absolutely.
later.
Let's
All right,
go.
take care.